we can start presentation by Ravi by introducing the lessons and expertise gained from this series of exposure visits to date. Ravi, over to you.
Okay, so let me once again welcome Dr. Okazumi and his team members from MLIT, Dr. Kido and team members from JWA, Dr. Panwar and the rest of the delegation from India, and my dear friend June and the other team members from the World Bank. Let me just touch further on what June has mentioned about. So the focus of the exposure visit, as agreed between June and our earlier chairman, Mr. Pandya, has been essentially to focus on the seismic hazard, and little later we have also brought in the component of sedimentation. As rightly mentioned, the target group was focusing on the implementing agencies of the dam rehabilitation and improvement project, which has, as June mentioned, about 220 dam projects, but in essence the number of dams in some of the projects are multiple, so we are targeting about 250 dams for rehabilitation. Apart from the implementing agencies of DRIP, the target group also included representatives from Ministry of Water Resources as well as some of the higher level officers from the implementing agencies, so as to get understanding of the financing and regulatory issues of dam safety as put in place by Government of Japan. Let me just briefly touch on the highlights of the dam rehabilitation improvement project. Essentially, the project component involves investment on the rehabilitation activities of some of our aging dams. The second component is on the dam safety institutional strengthening, that is the capacity building part of the dam owners. And third component is on the project management. As part of the project management, we have also got the services of a international consultant, essentially coming from France, and that becomes part of our central project management unit. Coming on the cost component, the project is presently estimated to cost about $310 million US. Essentially, almost 82% of the cost is going towards the hardcore component, that is rehabilitation and improvement component for the dam. About 8% of the cost is dedicated towards the capacity building, and 10% cost is going towards the project management. The project implementing agencies, as mentioned by June, are spread over actually 7 states. The states of Odisha, Madhya Pradesh, Kerala and Tamil Nadu and Karnataka, the implementing agencies are essentially the Water Resource Department. But from Kerala, Tamil Nadu, Uttarakhand and Jharkhand, we also have the power utility agencies. So altogether we have 9 implementing agencies which are part of the DRIP project. I would like to touch slightly on the achievements which we have been able to make under the DRIP. So we have already done the preliminary preparation part of the rehabilitation, and the works are in different stages in 250 dams. We have been able to do a kind of a more like research study in understanding the unusual deformation which we are observing for over 40 years in our Idki Arch Dam. In fact, Idki Arch is our only arch dam in India, and we encountered some serious unusual behavior, and which we have investigated, and we are going ahead with the rehabilitation program of Idki Dam. We have also carried out desiltation study on 3 of our power projects in Tamil Nadu, and we will be shortly taking up the rehabilitation measures to that extent. We have also recently taken up a study of a crack in Konar Dam. It's a very prestigious dam which initially started with a flood management, but later on it has become a very multi-purpose project. And there have been cracks for a pretty long time, which has also compelled us to keep the reservoir level to a lower levels. So this study and subsequent rehabilitation will be very important for us. Apart from that, in different rehabilitation programs, we have also tried to bring in the people inclusive approach. So this one activity which will be we are going to focus on at Hirakud, we intend to bring a lot of input in terms of making our dams more people friendly. So our spillway capacity enhancement project is targeted with the intent of even bringing people inclusiveness to the project at Hirakud location. We also unlike Japan, where you have much more confidence in terms of the safety of the dams. In India, we have little uncertainty, especially coming in terms of the flood management, and then we need to have emergency action plan, not only for a dam break scenario, but even for extreme conditions, weather conditions, where even the regulated releases from the dam is going to cause havoc downstream areas. So we need an emergency action plan practically for each and every large dam of India. So this activity also we have taken up under DRIP, and we intend to prepare emergency action plan of very good quality for each of our DRIP dam. In fact, recently we have also come out with a guidelines for developing the emergency action plan, and this activity has been taken up in earnest. We have also decided to prepare a kind of a asset management tool. We call it Dam Health and Rehabilitation Monitoring Application. It's a web-based software, basically asset management software. The work has already commenced, and we are ready with about 3 modules of this project. And shortly we will start gathering information using this software. This software is going to be a very comprehensive software which will target complete information about our dam assets across the India, including information which are purely engineering in terms of every asset component, also information related to periodical inspection, and also information related to every possible stakeholder, which is important from dam safety point of view. As part of institutional capacity building, we have also started the National Dam Safety Conferences under DRIP. 2 of our conferences have already been held, the first one in Chennai and followed by the second one in Bangalore. In fact, we got the privilege of our Japan delegation joining for our Bangalore conference, and the 3rd Dam Safety Conference is scheduled at IIT Roorkee in February 2017, and we would be happy if one more delegation can come and join for that program. Coming back on the exposure visit to Japan by the Indian side, so far we have gone through 4 visits where about 23 participants have taken the benefit. In fact, apart from Madhya Pradesh and Water Resource Department of Tamil Nadu and the Damodar Valley Corporation, every other implementing agency has already joined for this particular exposure visit program. The key benefits which we have been able to gather, if I try to summarize, then it will be the exchange of knowledge, exposure to some of important dams, 7 dams altogether the team members have been able to visit, and of course the benefit of networking with the officials of Japan, especially the Japan Water Agency, and definitely the exchange of customs and culture, which I understand has been a key to continuing our collaboration for further. Coming on the areas of lessons and expertise which we have been able to gain so far, we understand a large benefit is coming in terms of understanding the Japan's robust seismic surveillance system which is already in place. We got a lot of understanding in terms of practical aspects of forewarning of catastrophic events, basically the earthquake early warning system which is already in place, as well as the emergency response system. The standard operating procedure which is already in place at each of the dams in Japan in terms of seismic event response, that has been really impressive for us, and we intend to put this SOP in practice in all our high hazard seismic areas for our Indian dam. We were quite impressed by the O&M capabilities which is already put in place in Japan, especially in terms of managing with low manpower resources compared to Indian dams. We understand that the Japan dams have much lesser number of manpower, but a very good quality of O&M practices which are in force. And automation of dam monitoring system. This is something which we have been trying to do in some of our dams. We have been able to get a good level of automation, but still our team members could take actually lot of input in terms of the capacities for automation of dam monitoring system. And of course, the people inclusive approach, which we could see at the location in Japan, where we have seen that everything has been done from a point of view of involving greater inclusive approach to the people's participation. These some of the pictures, something which there are many pictures, but only few have been able to put up here. The last one showing the dam, the rice curry you call, in the form of a dam and reservoir. That was really impressive. In fact, we got an idea of doing such kind of things for our drip dams also, and we over a period we will be bringing we will be actually copying some of ideas which is in place in Japan. We got a different insight about how you identify the dam benefits. Typically, we identify these benefits in terms of the storage volume, but then in some of your presentation, we came to notice that you mentioned more in terms of discharge indicators rather than the volume indicators. And further query has given us a lot of insight as to how you indicate the discharge level indicator as beneficial indicator of a dam project. We understand that you have placed, assumed a very high level of factor of safety in all your early dam construction activities, which somehow we have not done it, primarily because of the high cost involved. And but we realize that over a period, this also helps in the dam safety overall O&M process also. So looking at this was also something which is a kind of a insight. As our economy grows, probably we can also try to look for higher factor of safety in our dam design. We also noticed that typically in an Indian dam we have got a hoist system which will be always independent unit for each gate, all kept by and large in an open this thing. But almost every dam which our team members have visited, we came to see that the hoist system is all put in a kind of a centralized housing system with all fully covered. I mean, it definitely improves the O&M practices, and I think gives longer life for the machineries. And the control also, I think it's more easy by this kind of a arrangement. This was something which was quite impressive, and at least to my knowledge, we have not utilized this system so far in any of our dam, where you have got a kind of a telescopic gate arrangement to draw water through the sluices. You are putting this practice essentially to draw water of varying temperature levels, depending on the downstream requirement and the actual reservoir temperature conditions. But we have been able to look at this, and we really want to explore this system in our dam with a possibility of silt management. If that can work out, then some of our existing dam can leverage to tap water from a lower level for the existing level of sluices. So I think last time I have already had a discussion with Dr. Kido on this, and if possible, we will try to explore this as a kind of a collaboration for at least few of our drip dams. Coming on the sensitivity towards environment protection, when I was visiting this particular dam, and then there were a few ledges on the downstream of the dam, and I actually inquired what are these things for. So I was rather surprised when I was informed that these are meant for the eagle's nest. Of course, I was also informed that this was done under the kind of a pressure from an environmental group, and later on it was not really successful. But even then, the kind of efforts which Japan puts in and for such kind of measures is something which was impressive. And of course, this particular arrangement where you have taken a kind of a to save the forest, you have taken a kind of a bridge across the river just to come back to the same line to gain grade. That was also impressive. And this is one photo which I took from the dam axis, where you can see the deer grazing on the abutment side. And there are many points which were very impressive in terms of your measures for the environment protection. And of course, we could understand and gain a lot from the overall regulatory and financing arrangement which has been put in place by Government of Japan. And we also appreciated the role played by Japan Water Agency in the network of Asian River Basin Organization. And at some point of time, CWC will be happy to collaborate in NARBU also. We were really impressed by the history of Japan's dam building, with the understanding that more than 305 dams belong to an era of something like 1800. Japan has a very good history of safe dam, a very good track record in terms of dam safety. In fact, India also that way has done really very well. And our safety record is also one of the best record, you can say, as per the dam safety practices. But still, we really want to raise the bar and touch greater height in terms of dam safety records. We were impressed by the various inspection procedures set in Japan in terms of routine inspection, extraordinary inspections, periodic and comprehensive inspections. In fact, the comprehensive inspection which Japan targets for something like 30 years interval, we are trying to bring it down to roughly 10-year interval for our drip dam. In fact, in our one of our dam safety bill, which is in the pipeline, talks about comprehensive dam safety inspection at an interval of something like 10 years. But overall, your inspection procedures and the SOPs which are in place were quite impressive. We were really enlightened to understand the kind of dam instrumentations which are already put in place, especially because we also have, for most of our dams, we have gone for extensive instrumentations, but they have not been really working well. I mean, most of the instrumentation during the construction stage also have not been able to get installed properly, and we really have very few dams where we have been able to get the benefit of instrumentation data. But what we saw in Japan was really impressive, and we think that yes, we can improve on our instrumentations. And of course, our second team onwards, our focus shifted to sediment management also, and some of the dams where the sediment practices have been put in place were visited by our team members, and the information which was gathered was really impressive. We really would like to look forward to some of the check dams, especially the permeable check dams and other sediment management practices which are in place in Japan. We have serious issues with some of our hilly dam projects, especially the dam projects under UJVNL, where some of our dams practically have lost the storage levels, and then we have the serious issues of rock boulders coming and falling from the spillway side. So this arrangement, which is already in place in Japan, will be helpful for us. There has been, at least one of the team was quite impressed by the rubber steel claddings which have been put on the piers for protection against large boulders. Probably this also will help us in many places. Coming on the areas of priority concern for India, of course, our concern as of now, we have about 5,000 large dam, and almost 80% of them are touching the age span of something like 25 years. So these dams have already gone through some of the issues related to deferred maintenance. Some of the dams have got problems associated with the initial troubles in investigation or design or construction methodologies. So our focus is now gradually shifting to rehabilitation of these aging dams. As I mentioned, that we have serious gap in terms of instrumentation. So existing dams, we cannot do much in terms of trying to improve upon embedded instrumentation, but still we would like to gain knowledge and improve upon our instrumentation as well as the response system. Forewarning of catastrophic events, for us both the flood as well as the seismic events are important, and already a lot of work is going on with the help of our IMD, Indian Meteorological Department, and other agencies in terms of flood warnings, and probably the seismic warning we will try to get advantage from collaboration with Japan, especially in terms of seismic event response system or the kind of SOPs which are already in place. We would like to understand and work further in that direction. As we mentioned, that sediment issues is gradually catching attention. Some of our dams have lost reservoir level to the tune of something like 15 to 20%. And some of our Himalayan dams are practically exhausting almost 100% of their capacity. So they are practically only diverting the water. So we would like to go back and look how we can improve upon our silt management as such, and wherever it has been silted up, how to carry out desiltation. Of course, overall improvement in our operation and maintenance practices is something which is important. We want to actually bring in practices which can bring more value to our dam at lesser cost. So maybe the practices which are already put in place in Japan will be of help to us. And as I mentioned earlier, that we intend to actually come out with emergency action plans for each one of our large dams. And understanding the asset management tool, keeping the inventory records, and to be able to use them for continuous management of our dam is something which we intend to do now as part of our dam safety priorities. Now finally coming to this potential areas of collaboration with Japan. In fact, many of the items which I have listed earlier can be considered for collaboration, but I am putting up only 3 points which we consider as of immediate possibility. This photograph is taken by one of our delegation which visited Japan, and we are really impressed by the beauty of Japan. Coming back on the potential collaboration, earthquake early warning system is something which we look forward to. Of course, this will not only benefit dam sector, but every infrastructure of the country will benefit out of this. We want to work in the direction of putting up a better seismic event response system, especially for our dams which are lying in the zone 4 and 5. And we would like to collaborate in the direction of sediment management so that we can sustain our capacity for a much longer time. With this last few words, I would like to render our sincere thanks to the government of Japan and the members of MLIT. I also thank all officials and senior members of Japan Water Agency, as well as World Bank and GFDRR. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ravi, for your excellent presentation.